Hi, today I'm going to be showing you how I do my storyboards in Krita for map parts. A good element to map design and map composition and how well your map part looks is it helps to storyboard your ideas and get the timing correct. It helps you make sure that what you're going to draw actually might look good in practice. So I'm using the most current version of Krita from whenever this video uploads, version 4.1.7, and I always start with a new animation template in English, but you can use Japanese if you use that. And what I usually do beforehand is I make sure that the audio for my map part is pre-cut, and when you open your canvas it will probably look like this. If it doesn't, I believe you can go to Window Workspace and click Animation, and it will take you directly to what you see here. So the first thing you will do is, you might struggle to see it, but you will go down to your timeline and you will click this little speaker button for audio. Some people say it doesn't work, some people it does work. I use it and I haven't had any issues, but we'll see. And once you have it open, and okay, so you'll want to click it and you'll want to click Open Audio. And I pre-cut just some audio that I've been listening to just sort of listen to, and you can test to see if it did work simply by hitting play. And as you can hear in the back, it is playing, because as I'm scrubbing you can hear just little audio blips. That's normal. It's just the program somewhat telling you, hey, this is a thing. You can obviously use this to animate, that's what it's for, but I prefer to animate in Medibang Paint Pro, even though it doesn't have a timeline like this. That's just how I'm used to doing it after years of animating. I do it frame by frame, but I think this really helps me storyboard because I can hear the audio and I can time it, and then I can just import it all to Medibang and it's all there and it's fine and dandy. So I'm going to do this tutorial from that standpoint. Down here in this little animation panel, you'll see things like the current frame that you're in. So right now I'm on frame 0. I can click the up button to go to frame 1, frame 2, etc. I like to set my frame rate over here, the 24 here. I like to set that to 10 just because the song that I'm choosing is lower and I don't have to do a lot of fast-paced stuff. If you think you're going to have to do a lot of fast-paced stuff where you need to have your scene changes multiple times over the course of half a second to a second, I would recommend keeping it at 24. But I'm going to set it to 10 because I don't need that many frames per second for the song I've chosen. The next thing you'll want to do is you'll want to select a tool. And the tool that I am using is the Marker Chisel Smooth. I like it. You can use a different one. And yeah, so I just use the default marker one. So the color set you will actually want to toggle off. And then we can probably just use the draft layer. Why aren't you working? So what we'll actually do is we'll go here to layout background and we are going to click this button for new layer, and that'll hopefully, yes, it will give us a new fresh layer to draw on. I like to sketch in black, but some people also like to sketch in blue. That is entirely optional. And once you have that, you are ready to start drawing. And I will show you how to set keyframes and how to I guess, storyboard in this sense. So for starters, you'll want to get a feel for how long your story is, your song, I should say, your song. And from there, you get started. So let me find the audio here, and I will make a new keyframe. So I can hear at like frame 11, the talking starts for the next part that I want to do, or I should say the first part I want to do. So I am going to very quickly, so to make a new keyframe, as it's called, or a new panel in the storyboard, you will go here and you'll click the little caret key and you'll just hit create blank frame. And that'll allow you to sketch your first keyframe that'll show up. So then what you can do is you can sketch out what you want to start drawing. When sketching your storyboards, you may also want to keep in mind the rule of thirds. A very brief rundown of what the rule of thirds looks like is you divide the canvas into 3 parts, kind of like this. And you want to keep your characters on one of these focal points. And you want to stay away from the middle. There's a few other nuances to the rule of thirds, like you want to keep heads here, sometimes a little above the top line here, unless you're doing, if they're just existing normally, you'll want to put them here. If there's like a pretty little landscape that you want them to look out, you may want them down here, and obviously closer to the focal point. You don't want them like off in no man's land, unless that's what you're going for. I will just keep the grid up there, and I will just quickly draw a character. Storyboard sketches should generally not be very detailed until you finalize it later. This is just the first pass. I usually go in and Medibang and finalize it, but I like also drawing hair, so there's nothing to stop you from drawing them, but stick figures are fine too. And I know that she is probably going to open her eyes, so I can either write on here, open eyes to future me, or you can physically go in and decide at what point she's going to open her eyes. So right here is where I'd say, so I'd probably add and create blank keyframe. And you can activate onion skin over here to see what was previously drawn. So you can click that, and that actually just shows you the options to actually see it. You go to this little light bulb down here and you just toggle it on, and it will show the person in red or whatever color you have selected. Let's do we'll make it black-ish, and then we can actually edit how bright it is by dragging this little slider for the -1. So that means that the first frame behind the one you're working on will be lower in opacity. And then I can say, all right, I want her to open her eyes. She looks a little tired here, but that's okay. She did just wake up. And again, these details are entirely optional. I do highly recommend you just do stick figures. But again, I can't stop you. Feel free. The world is your oyster. And as you can see, we now have this like line running through it. We actually have 2 keys. You can see them with these lighter blue indicators here, where it's all a solid color. So here's where the first one starts, and then this is where the second one starts. And that is basically it. I will show you how to do multiple ones and make sure your timing is good. So yeah, and then again, when you're just trying to change it, you will scrub around here. Scrub means to quickly drag, you know, your cursor to where you want to listen to, and as I'm scrubbing I can hear the audio because of the preview. And so once I find it, go here to the little caret key, I hit create blank frame, and then I will make my stick figure. Then we have another one. Now you may start to run into the issue that your canvas here, this little timeline, isn't big enough to contain your song. There's two ways you can do it. You can just keep scrolling endlessly and it will slowly give you more room. Or you can go over here next to animation to start and end, and I just set my end to some ungodly number like 250 because that is how long I need it, but you can do 600, 900. I don't know if it can let you. Okay, yeah, so you can go over 1,000 it looks like. I'm just gonna do 200 because I don't think I'm gonna need that much more space. But that's how you do it, and then if you just wiggle this browser thing here, it takes sometimes a minute to update the memory. But soon enough it will adjust, or it isn't adjusting because this is the end of my song. There it goes. So yeah. It actually ends on frame 136. So when you're all done, you will turn off the onion skin by clicking the light bulb. You will go to the beginning and you will preview how it looks. Yours may be a lot more dynamic than mine. Yours may be less dynamic than mine, and that's okay. The purpose of storyboards is to just get your idea down, and for me it's getting my idea down as quickly as I can. It's really hard for me to click on the song, look at the lyrics, and then draw them. It's a lot easier for me to hear it and see it and be able to draw on my canvas, which is why I really like Krita. It's free. It has the bare basics that I personally need to quickly plan out where my keyframes are going to go, and this can be applied to PMVs, this can be applied to AMV parts, this can be applied to your map parts, this can be applied for personal projects. I highly recommend storyboarding for pretty much anything you're planning on doing and you want to take your stuff up to the next level, because just putting like some extra thought into your work already is going to make it look a lot better. And if a map maker or a map host, I should say, demands or requests that you provide a whip, even just providing a storyboard is a really great way for you to show that you're done work and that you are working on it and you're planning on it, and it gives the map host some ease of mind that you are in fact wanting to work on the project, and that can be something useful, especially for someone that procrastinates. I have a lot of problems getting motivated to do work myself, and just having a storyboard oftentimes just makes the process feel a lot less overwhelming because, oh my gosh, I don't have to do these base sketches as much. I already know what I'm doing for my part. I can just go right in, start doing my sketches, start doing the final details and just really getting into it. If you wanted to be really fancy as well, you can start sketching in backgrounds. So I could like say, hey, this is her bed, but you don't have to. Again, it's all up to you. It's your storyboard. You can make this as detailed or as simple as you want. You can use it just for shot composition. You can use it as literally your base sketches. But yeah, this is the only free software I've really found that works. I've tried Pencil. I can't get the audio to work. It might work the exact same way and I'm just silly. But yeah. And then when you're done, you will go to File. Well, you should always save your work, but I'm not. And then you will go to Render Animation. I always export it as an image sequence. You will want to set your last frame to whatever the last frame is. I also haven't done a lot of testing. So what I usually do is I usually take all my keyframes and I move them by clicking on them and just dragging. And then I personally just put them all in a row and say, oh, like there's 5 keyframes, so I'd move them to 0, 1, 3, and I'd probably say, oh, it starts and ends at like 3, and then just do that way because I don't know if it exports the whole sequence because this is an animation thing. It's not a storyboarding software. It's just a tool that I use to storyboard. So that's what I would also recommend is just when you're done, just push them all to the front like this. Just like this. And I can see that we end on frame 4. So I'm going to say start and end frame 4. I will hit render animation and it will export image sequence as a PNG. I will tell it where to go. And then you're done. And then you can import it into your art program. I mean, not your art program. Yes, your art program. You will import the image sequence into your chosen art program to start sketches and all that stuff. Now, if you're like me, and you do use something else other than Krita for art, export your frames, go into your chosen art program of choice. In this case, it's Medibang. And open one of your files and you will see that it has like all these grids and all these little tabs at the top. I've found that, in my personal opinion, when I'm opening a 1920 times 1080p canvas, if I just do that and I copy this, paste it, I copy and paste it into here like that, and I take it, I move it up a bit, just a bit, and I just sort of stretch it a little bit until the darker edges of this, like this inner dark thicker border, I just kind of expand that until it mostly lines up with the edges. I find that that works to put it in the right size for working with HD sizes. If you have your storyboards here, for example, and like for here I have my character, she's opening her eyes and like there's not gonna be any change in her positioning. What I'll do is I will open another 1920 times 1080p and I will paste them both on top of it just like that. I will make a new file folder. I will put it in there. I'll put them in the folder. I will have the folder selected, and then I will use the move tool or the V shortcut. If you're using desktop shortcuts, I'll move it in the center, and I will transform them both at the same time. And by doing this, you ensure that they will both be layered on top of each other in the same position when you drew them in Krita. And because of that, it will pardon me, because of that, they will be right in the same position, and I find that that helps. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my little tutorial on how I storyboard in Krita for map parts and animated music videos. You can definitely use this for other applications, but I think this is the most useful for me, and I know it'll be useful to some of you. Thank you!